Hello everyone. So I just want to do a quick intro to this short module. So in this module and the next couple of modules, we're going to start talking about what happens to water once it enters the watershed in the form of precipitation. So we already know that precipitation is the major input to most watersheds, but what happens to that rain after it falls? So again, precipitation is the flux of water from the atmosphere onto land and sea. And we're going to, of course, think of our watersheds as land. And what happens to that precipitation? It either becomes runoff, and that can be in the form of surface runoff, so that's going to be rivers and streams, or it's going to be subsurface, and that's going to be your aquifers and your groundwater. And we're not going to really talk too much about the subsurface flow this quarter. And if it's not runoff, it is another form of water loss. And this is usually 70% of the water. And it's either going to be evaporation, which you probably already know how to define, or it's going to be what we call transpiration. Okay. And in the U.S., on average, 30% of our precipitation becomes runoff and 70% becomes water loss. So we're going to focus in this module on the water loss in the form of evaporation and transpiration. Okay, and originally when I teach this class in a full 10-week quarter, not online, we take a little bit longer in this module. We look at some of these equations in detail and we use some of the equations. But given the constraints of this quarter, I really want to move to the runoff as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to take a very short one-day module to introduce and define evaporation and transpiration, introduce some of the equations that can be used and why they might be used, and then we're going to move on into starting to talk about runoff. Okay,